I know what is good for my body and what I should be doing?
Exactly. So it's definitely, I mean, any of these apps are going to be a little bit more on the general side of things, but you know, as far as that next step, it's definitely good. We can definitely focus on something definitely more customized. But the MyFitnessPal, it's giving you that breakdown, and then when you put foods in, it puts them either protein, carb, fat, or a balance, you know, whatever, like eggs, for example, are going to be fat and protein. And then so you can see what your goal was for today, what's left, you know, what did you have. So then that kind of helps to kind of know what to eat. And then every food item that you put in is going to have, like, so you say you put in whatever, Cheerios. You can click on it and see what it, like, what is it? A carb, protein, a fat? Like, what does it qualify for? So just educating yourself rather than, you know, when we just focus on calories, you could have salad all day, or you could have ice cream all day. But I hit my calories, but I'm still starving, or I'm still, you know, I'm full, or, you know, whatever. So that's a really great resource that we use. I use it myself, John uses it, just to kind of, you know, keep yourself honest and educated.
And I always look from the perspective of the people who are using it. I run the club. I certainly do not know everything about fitness. We have some amazing professionals, and I look through the eyes of someone who's sitting in these chairs. I was very green to the idea. I used MyFitnessPal, and what Jennifer said, I looked at the calories first, and then when there's like a breakdown of a circle of the percentages, and you start looking at, well, I was over on my carbohydrates, my low on my proteins, and that's the reason I was getting this result. When the fact comes down to it, if you eat 2,000 calories of Twinkies, it doesn't really matter because it's still 2,000 calories, but you're losing out on all the other necessary nutrients on that as well. So it's just a tool, in another arrow in your quiver to kind of hit the target a little bit better.
Yeah. To answer the alcohol question, my favorite question, not currently. This is what happens when you don't track those. So alcohol, another thing that's, you know, nice about, you know, when you're tracking or just taking a look at it. So alcohol for the most part is like that fourth macronutrient. So there's protein, carb, and fat, and then there's alcohol, because it does have a little bit of carbs depending on what kind you're having, but it's also just, you know how they say like empty calories. That's unfortunately, you know, what it is. So how to make it fit, you know, obviously moderation you want to focus on. So, you know, if you're having, if your goal is to have, you know, say currently you have 2 or 3 wines a night, you want to have, you know, 1, the goal is to not have 7 one day and then none the rest of the week. It's that, you know, balance throughout the week, but it can be factored in. It's obviously the, you know, the portion sizes. They've done some studies as far as it being an inhibitory factor in terms of weight loss, but again, you have so many variables, the calories, the balancing out those macronutrients, the alcohol, things like that. So you want to start with just focusing on one rather than trying to change everything, and then either we're so miserable that we don't stick to it, or it's just too overwhelming because it's too big of a lifestyle change to then, you know, do all of that. So you want to stick with, you know, focusing on one. Okay, I'm going to decrease whatever my alcohol, or I'm going to monitor my calories, or I'm going to hit my protein.
Water consumption too, we talked about.
Water consumption, exactly. So you want to just focus on those small things. So it can definitely be fit in. If you're looking for specifics, you know, the higher calorie things are going to be like beer, some wine, especially the white ones, because they're a little bit higher in sugar. Like a bourbon is virtually no calories, but, you know, not everyone, you know, likes those. Do you have specific questions in terms of just how to make it fit? Yeah, so does that help as far as kind of distinguishing the alcohol side of things? Yeah. Sugar, so I get sugar all the time. Sugar or carbs, is that craving? Have you guys felt that long term? Like, have you felt it for years? Do you feel it when you're higher stress? Do you feel it?
All the above.
All the above?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're having, well, how many people eat 3 times a day? Okay, that's what I was gonna say. How many people are having the 3 meals and then snacks?
Yeah.
Good. Do you feel like that kind of curbs it a little bit in terms of the sweet
I
treats?
also crave protein though. When I'm hungry, I want protein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that could be an imbalance, just to, you know, total of, you know, those choices. And again, even hitting all those things, hitting everything perfect, it doesn't mean the sweet tooth is going to completely go away. I wish I could wave my magic wand and it you know, go away. But a lot of times either the hydration or the protein isn't, you know, enough. So the fact that you're craving that protein is fantastic. But again, it's about making those small changes and knowing, you know, what your body needs so that you're able to, you know, have that balance. Carb-wise, you definitely want to focus on things that are going to be more whole grains or more complex carbs. Are you familiar with complex carbs? Do you like them? So like whole grains, brown rice, even popcorn is a whole grain. So those things are going to be a little bit more filling. They're going to be a little bit more satisfying. Not necessarily in terms of like the taste as much, just because those whites are a lot of times a lot more delicious. But in terms of like overall, they're going to be a lot more satisfying. So if we avoid them altogether, and we're like, okay, I'm not going to do any carbs. Yeah, you might lose some weight, initially. But long term, two questions. One, is it sustainable? Like, can you do this forever? What happens when you go to your niece's graduation, or it's your 20th anniversary, or whatever, and you just really want to have that? Is that going to kind of lead into a downward spiral, which is what we don't want. We don't want that yo-yo effect. We want consistency. And two, is it filling? In terms of, what are you going to overeat on something else? Because even though protein gets a really good reputation, you can overeat on anything. I have clients come in all the time, they're like, I eat healthy.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm not debating that. It's just a matter of that balance,
Yeah.
Taking that next step forward. It can sometimes be a blessing in disguise to be super fit in terms of like the amount of times that you go to the gym, or in eating super healthy, because then you have to kind of take that next step of digging deeper, those balancing out those protein, carbs, and fats, or taking the exercise to the next level so that you can basically break through that plateau that you've built, even though it's a good one. You already you're doing healthy things as it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Most change usually occurs, I think Jennifer and I think it's about 2 to 3 weeks of consistency, and it resets. So because you do something for a week, it's very admirable. Please do something positive for a week. But most people, it's like running a race. If you ran a race for a 5K and you ran 3 miles and it's like point something to the end of the race, and you just stopped and walked off the course, that would be redundant. Like, why would you want to do something like that? Continue on with that. So your body is prepping itself to make that change. So finish the race, go 21 days of making that, it forms a good habit. Ironically enough, around that time is when your body resets itself and changes. So consistency, good, will put you on the right path. It also goes the other way as well too. Like if you have a bad habit, if you do it for 3 weeks, it will go that way. So you need to kind of stay the course and trust the process on something like that. That's why our fitness also ties in directly with our nutrition, because if you burn the candle positively at both ends, the figure that you get in the middle comes a lot quicker, and it's more sustainable as well too.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the biggest things that kind of gets overlooked when we hear a lot about nutrition, I don't hear it enough. I hear a lot more about like the carbs or the protein or this diet or that diet, is goal setting. So like setting those goals of, I'm going to track for a week, or I'm going to focus on my protein for a week, or whatever, and then evaluating, which is the hard part, because we're doing it awesome. Then we got to sit down and be like, okay, how did I do? And like that kind of evaluation, one, just taking the time to do it. We're doing everything for every other person, and not taking the time to do it, and then knowing where to go next. Okay, so great, so I hit my protein, awesome. Now what? So not knowing kind of where to go. So that goal setting is going to be huge. So if you do nothing else, just setting that goal of, I just want to think more about my nutrition this week, and then at the end of the week, how did that go? I really feel like every day at work I was really aware of it. Weekends were a little bit challenging because the kids or whatever. But this week my goal is to whatever. So really focusing on those goals, that goal setting, because like John said, we can really start something for a week and then life happens, which it does. And I probably say that 20 times a day.
You get ill, kids get ill,
Yeah.
Work becomes stressful. It's the end of some kind of period, and it's like more intense around here. It happens. We're human beings. We're not robots, unfortunately. But being a human being, goal setting helps you be more, I would say, realistic about what you're doing. Yeah, you'll stumble. You're a human. You have fallacies. It kind of happens that way. But we can pull ourselves back up and get right back on and find solace in the fact you tracked for 5 out of 7 days. That's amazing. You weren't tracking before that. You got into the gym X amount of times. You hit your steps. I don't know if you guys do a step thing or anything like that, but you hit your steps 4 out of 5 days. That's great. Build on that and continue on too.
Yeah, that consistency. So based on what we just talked about in terms of like breaking things down as to more than just calories or more than just the general, baseline nutrition, along with that goal setting, where do you feel like you could potentially have problems even going forward? Like what would be an obstacle even with that information? Does anyone have any ideas?
Ada's desk.
Yeah, trying to get rid of the candy.
I was just gonna bring
And I told you, that's why, like can go in the store.
So we focus on 3 things when someone were to come in and meet with me. First is, well actually 4. One is readiness for change. So you gotta be ready to make some sort of change. It doesn't have to be your whole lifestyle. And I'll, John knows that, I talk about it all the time. It can be just ready to make a small change. Put your big toe in the kiddie pool. And then it's habits. So what habits are you kind of developing on a day-to-day basis? And the third one is environmental or social support. So what factors outside of you, family, friends, work, things like that, are affecting your progress? So do you guys have those temptations in the office? Yeah?
So Rita's desk has a big temptation.
And Marilyn, she's not the only one. Marilyn's desk.
Christine has candy on her desk.
Christine, Marilyn.
Is there other things that you guys feel like is that affect? Is that hard to avoid?
No. Coffee. It's not hard.
Drinking coffee?
You're good.
She's good.
There's a lot of people that don't like that.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Splenda versus regular sugar?
I did take one the other day.
With any of the artificial sweeteners, they've
I know
done a
I'm
lot
over
of
there and get- I
research
don't.
and not a lot of
And it's
outcomes
so close.
quite
Because I
yet
know, I know,
of
because I know
what
I
they're
can't have
actually
that, and I
doing
don't
to our
want to eat
bodies.
it.
So
you
some
know,
of
but I
them
don't-
have had links
How do you eat
to
it?
the body kind of being like, well, I'm not sure what this is, so I'm not going to let go of weight. So it makes us actually hold on to it. So if you're going to do a no calorie, the only one I recommend is like a Truvia, just because at least it's made from a plant versus chemically made, or sugar where you can quantify that. Like if you were tracking it, you can actually quantify what's being contributed to.
Creams are a lot because I started doing whatever was out in my fitness pals.
Yeah.
What I did was.
When I had to look up how many creams I was putting in, I stopped drinking coffee.
Start breaking it down.
Now I'm drinking tea because I use milk instead of cream.
Go to half the sugar.
Plus.
And that's how I broke myself with the cream and sugar, for a little bit less every day, and finally you're into black.
Goal setting right there.
Exactly.
Right there. The real
You don't have to
time.
change everything at once.
I can't do it, I can't.
It took
But
me
I
about a
count my
month, but I
sugar.
got it.
Yeah,
I count
exactly.
it, yeah.
Exactly. If you can quantify it,
Yeah.
and put it into, like I said, my Fitness Pal or tracking. I'm not trying to push that. It's just what we use. But if you're able to add it into whatever your daily
Yeah,
allowance, like some
that's
people
what
are
I
like,
do.
I need to have 1 scoop of ice cream every night. I need to have it. Like that's their thing. Helps them decompress. That's fine. Quantify that in, and then work the rest of the day around it. Make sure that the rest of the day you're on point, so you can enjoy that. You don't have to say I cheated every night.
There will come a time where
What'd
you'll
you
be
say?
like,
I can't just do a cup.
I know.
there will come a time where you'll be like, this is not worth what I'm working hard
Yeah.
for. And you'll be like, you know what? I can keep that scoop of ice cream in there, or I can not grab that handful of candy. I'm in the same boat. I cannot walk down the candy aisle of a grocery store. As laughable as it sounds, I'm like a child. I cannot. So I avoid those types of things. We talked about this many times. Yeah, working on it still. But find solace in the fact that if you make that positive decision, that's one day, good. One little notch in your belt, cool. Let's move on to the next day and see if we can't repeat it over and over again. You will build upon that, a solid foundation of that.
Yeah.
So.
And the big thing with all of this is, what is your goal? Like, great if it's, weight loss, great if it's body composition change, but why? Because it's going to get very old very quickly if you're just like, I want to lose 20 pounds.
Yep.
Because life happens, and there's nicer things, there's happier things than focusing on always, weight loss. But if you're doing that because you want to run around with the grandkids, if you're doing that because you want to, feel amazing every single day and not wake up groggy, that's what you need to hold on to. That's what you need to, truly grasp when you're walking past the candy bowl. Or you're trying to find that motivation to decrease that creamer. It's why. It's why do you want to make these changes? And that's, really the root of everything. So it's, if you're able to do that, doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you can keep seeing those wins, which is what I review with all my clients every day, every time I meet with them. What went well this past week? And they're like, no, it was a really bad week. No. What went well? What went well? Well, I thought about tracking. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, we're the challenge. I mean, all that stuff. So really focusing on that so that you're able to be aware of the things that you're trying to accomplish and what you are accomplishing, because it can make that process, no matter how long it is, just even more rewarding.
We believe very simply that there's a basic human fitness right that you should have to be comfortable and healthy in your own skin. It's amazing how many times some people commit to themselves and they hit their goal, and it might be something as little as, I want to wear this dress, or I have these